Just thinking, what's education all about? Is it worth it? Is it worth going to university? I think it probably is. I'm speaking as someone who happens to have done 4 different degrees. I don't really know why, I just had a love of education. And yeah, I would encourage anybody, anywhere, to go to university, but probably not for the reasons you're thinking. To me, the degree certificates, yes, you deserve them, you're proud of them. If you're young enough, your parents are going to be proud of them. For me, I've got a PhD certificate somewhere. I've not seen it for about 10 years. Nobody ever asked to see it. I've got no reason to stick it on a wall or whatever. What I learned over the time of 4 degrees as well, I've probably forgotten most of it, nearly all of it. So why am I telling you that doing a degree, having university education, is really important? And for me, it certainly was. It's not just doing the degree. It's not just listening to the professors, doing the assignments. That's a minor part of it for me. The greatest learning comes from the people you're going to meet. It comes from the difficulties, emotional difficulties, financial difficulties, all types of difficulties, especially if you've moved away from home for the first time. Or like many of the students I help, they're in the UK, but they come from very different countries. And at the moment, I've got students from Italy, from Japan, from China, from South Korea, all over the place. For them, things have to be hard because there's cultural differences. And I think every one of them will say, yes, learning about different cultures, learning to survive in a different country, that's as important, maybe more important than the actual learning process. The degree certificate itself is obviously important as well because it's a tool, hopefully, for future employment. Myself, I was a bit different. I was working for myself when I did all of my degrees. I didn't need those certificates, although I did use it for a period of my life when I was teaching in universities, something I really enjoyed, but I also relish being an entrepreneur. Doing the degree gave me the confidence to carry on being an entrepreneur. I now use those experiences by helping students who come from overseas who are doing postgraduate certificates in the UK. I help them with emotion, I help them with the difficulties of being away from home, loneliness, that type of thing. I didn't fully appreciate those difficulties until I was doing all this study. Another thing I learnt with all these qualifications, there was a stage when I thought, wow, I'm really intelligent, I know a lot, I have more degrees than anybody else I know actually, I think anyway. But I did realise how little I could ever learn. For me, that was the biggest advantage in doing a PhD. I realised I couldn't carry on with it forever. And even if I did, if I'd carried on for 20 years, I would still be limited in what I could ever know about this world. And that was a fantastic learning. I think someone like Aristotle may have said the same thing. One thing the degree did for me, I think all of them, it gave me credibility. Being someone who's working for themselves, sometimes you don't have the credibility of proving what you've done. Having a degree certificate, proving how much you paid for the education as well, which was not cheap. People respected you, trusted you, and I think they still do. When I was studying and doing research, being able to use the university name opened up a lot of contacts to me. I was not regarded as a threat, I was just a researcher. When I completed all my studies, some people regarded me as a threat for the contracts I was trying to win, threat maybe to their career if I should have put in for a job that they wanted. So bear in mind, if you're studying at any level at university, there are people who are going to think of you as the threat. They may be jealous of you, that type of thing. So you have to be careful. I suppose what I'm saying is at university, you don't just get one type of education, which leads to your degree certificate. You get about 3 types of education. And the most important one for me was learning about people. I was never really great with people. I'm very much an introvert. Even though I can talk in front of hundreds, naturally I'm the loner. Doing degrees, having to talk at academic conferences in many countries, that taught that being a loner was not the best thing I'd ever done in my life. And in order to achieve anything, especially happiness and a greater knowledge of everything in this world, I had to interact far more with people, understand them, especially understand different views to my own. Also learned that some people can be very dangerous. And this is something which can be very difficult to learn if you're a young student, 18, 19, 20. You assume all the professors, all the students, they're all there to help each other. It's called a collegiate. Life is going to be wonderful. There are some nasty people at universities. Literally, there are narcissists there. There are probably 1 or 2 psychopaths there, maybe many more, amongst the student population and the teaching population. Again, staying over 2, 3, 4 years, however long your course is going to last, you'll probably start to pick up, hopefully you'll start to pick up who you can trust, who you can't trust. And that's a vital part of university education, especially if you've left home or you're in a different country for the first time ever. You need to learn pretty quick who you can trust and definitely who you cannot trust. And if you're isolated, if you're alone, there are going to some people are going to be around who's going to abuse that situation because they see you as a vulnerable student. If you make friends, even if you're an introvert like me, if you realize we have to make friends, it makes life far easier, far more interesting as well. That stops the chance of one of these nasty people taking advantage of your isolation. Another thing I learned, or I appreciated, I didn't learn this at university, I appreciated it more once I'd finished all my qualifications. An old friend of mine, no longer here, a very good businessman, and he told me once, Marcus, you don't need all these qualifications to be success at business. In fact, he didn't tell me this, but I then realized you don't even need to know how to read and write to be a success in business, because I know this guy could do neither. Literally illiterate, running for many, many years, a very successful business, and a lovely guy. Those of us that are showing off our PhDs and other degrees, this guy was a million times better than me, certainly at making money, and I think his social life was 1,000 times better as well. Just a lovely man. You could say perhaps he wasn't tainted by the ego of trying to get more and more degrees, trying to show off with them. He didn't have to do that. In the world of academia, you get used to see people working under pressure. When I did my first master's degree, I had problems back at home. My mother was seriously ill and I couldn't really do the assignments in the degree course because of time reasons. But the university were great, and they said as long as you get all 4 of these assignments, 5,000 assignments, in by the 31st of December, there's no problem. No extension after that, we just cannot do it. And I remember on the 26th of December, the day after Christmas, thinking I'd better do these 4 assignments. And I did 4 5,000 word assignments at master's level in 4 days, and I got a distinction in every one. I'm sure if I didn't have the pressure, I wouldn't have got this distinction, and it also helped me escape the disease that my mother had unfortunately developed. That's the sort of pressure I can mean. With the people I help now, a lot of people are under financial pressure, a lot of people perhaps making their degree course far more complex than it needs to be, and they're putting a huge amount of weight on their own shoulders. It's not the professors doing this, it's the students themselves. So you get used to time management. You get used to determining how deep you want to go in a subject, how deep you don't want to go. You have to also remember you may have family life, you've got friends, they're important. And I think when I did my probably the last degree, the PhD degree, I probably lost a few friends because of it, because I didn't have time. When I did my first degree, I actually made a lot of friends because I was meeting people, the type of people I'd never seen before. The other learning, the system. I've sort of touched on it without saying it was a system. If you want a job, you need the degree certificate. In certain countries, you need the master's certificate, maybe an MBA degree, Master of Business Administration. And then this currency has been devalued because now there's a Doctor of Business Administration. Many countries that employers in the past wanted a master's are now saying, oh, get a doctorate. You need that in order to get the interview. And I remember one of my students, Chinese, very proud of her PhD, and it was fantastic. She deserves to be proud. But when she got the job in a new company, the boss said, okay, we're very impressed with the PhD. Now just remember, it's worthless in this company. We need you to perform. I think it put her in a place. But that is unfortunately the way things are if you're outside of academia. Sometimes the degree is not as valuable to an employer as it is to you. You just have to come to terms with that. That's one of the emotions. And part 3 for me, the third learning, was the true meaning of doing an academic education, the true meaning of receiving your certificate, all those people watching. So for me, the learning was short-lived because I forgot most of it, although I'm sure it's deep inside here somewhere. And sometimes I do amaze myself by remembering certain things. But for me, it was the immersion, the experience of the collegiate experience, being with lots of people really wanting to learn. That meant a lot. The course material didn't mean a huge amount, but trying to get through the assignments, yeah, that meant a lot. Helping other students, motivating other students, I seem to be pretty good at that. That meant more to me, and still does, than getting a certificate. Building friendships, something because I'm an introvert, I never prioritize. Being at university taught me the importance of friendships. I'm still not great at that, but at least I'm aware that friendships are vital in anybody's life. Been challenged by the professors, been challenged by other students. That taught me a huge amount. I had two parents that really loved me, said I was really good at everything I did. And the big mistake I made, I believed them. Going to university, meeting people that are far more intelligent than I was, that put me in my place. Initially, I didn't like it. Now I love it. If I meet someone who's far more intelligent than me, I think, wow, I can learn a lot here. So again, it's great to mix with really intelligent people sometimes. So getting this certificate is not just about passing your exam. It's far more than that. It's a tool maybe to employment, but it's proof that you've experienced this journey of life. And it can be a very tough experience for some people. When I was doing my first degree, I think I was in my third year of a 4-year degree, my father died, and I was learning later in life. As an adult learner, you've got additional responsibilities from family to financial, etc., that perhaps you don't have as an 18-year-old. Although a lot of 18-year-olds also have these responsibilities as well, especially those that may have cared for people at home, siblings or parents. Mixing real life with academic life, understanding the relationship between the two, that's another form of learning you get when you're doing a degree. I'll just finish off by reading something I wrote. It's only very short. Be proud, because that piece of paper, your degree certificate, is evidence of your entire journey. It's proof of the emotional, financial and cognitive marathon that you undertook. It's proof you learned to navigate new people, new ideas, new cities. It's proof you grew, you survived, and you became more than the person you were when you started. That certificate isn't just proof of doing a degree, it's proof of your personal transformation, and that is where the real education lies. Anybody from overseas that wants to chat about studying in the UK, I actually live in Southeast Asia, but there's a link below the video and you can talk to me free for about 15 minutes on Zoom or something similar, and I'll help you go through any of the emotional crises you may be experiencing. You could be worried about British culture, British legal system, and whether you're accepted in a foreign country. All that sort of stuff is what I can help people with. You're very welcome to a complimentary talk with me. Okay then, thanks very much. Thanks for listening. And if you are going to university, I wish you all the best. I'm sure you're going to have a great time.